But even books are some kind of experience, right?
Yes, but not as good.
Yeah.
As real experience.
Yeah,
If you want to learn how to fly, it's very difficult from a book. You got to go in there and do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Another question: Don't we need problems first to
Need what?
to get to the solution or to get knowledge that things can be better? So also for example, when I go to the fitness shape, what's the word for
Like a gym?
Yeah, gymnastics.
In the future, all our movies say that you could never achieve perfection. There are always problems. The Tommy is third person, and everybody knows, and they work it. Always. There's no final world where everything is all right.
Let me finish the question.
Sollen wir nicht George essen lassen und dann danach fragen?
When I go to the gym, I need the pain to get my muscles grow. I need pain first.
Yeah,
So there must be always a little bit of problems, though we can never reach perfection.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you don't have to experience war to know it's not efficient. You don't want to do it.
That's right. That's right.
What would you say about creativity?
Putting together.
Lass den George essen. Lass ihn essen.
Okay. Would you like to eat first? No? Okay.
Don't ask.
What do you think about imagination? About creativity and imagination?
No such thing.
There's no such thing.
Your next question, can you prove that it's learned? Huh?
I've been working 2 years about finding out what it is.
Well, I mentioned this before. If you go to a science fiction movie and you see Martians, they're created by Hollywood artists. If you look close, you'll see that the Martians have crab's claws and the dinosaurs a grasshopper's head, always made of known things.
Yeah,
So
these are known
creativity
things.
is taking known things and putting them together in unique ways. That's what stories are. Known incidents put together in different ways.
Yeah, but you combine them differently. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
creativity.
that's how you get several new things.
The difference between a creative person and a non-creative person. If an architect comes up to me and says, I want to be creative, what should I do? You want to be creative in architecture or what? He says, architecture. Study seashells. They have many different shapes. Then study geometry and atomic particles. There's so many different kinds of shapes that the architect becomes more creative. But if you don't study other shapes, if you just think a house should look like this, that's all you see. All the houses, to me, most of them look alike in Germany. Most of the clothing look alike. And I don't see any individuality. All the questions are alike.
Yeah, but that's because most people are stuck into these
They're conditioned not to think. They're brought up not to think.
Yeah, I know.
Otherwise you can't control them.
May I say
But
something?
I know some people who have done very strange things. I mean, they've created new combinations of things, which are really very interesting. Yeah? And so this is the only kind of...
You listen to me. They've been exposed to a wider range than people that don't put things together.
Yeah, okay.
If you go to an industrial show, you see many different kinds of electronics, so you have a broader frame of reference. But if you only use a vacuum tube, you've never seen anything else, you're less apt to put things together.
So creativity is only...
Exposure to variations in thinking. The more variations you read about, the more books you read, the more the variations.
May I say something to that? In my experience, I come out of creative education. Yeah? And I have 3 children. I had a son who would not want to read books because he would say, you have your own book, everybody has their own book. Why don't you read this first before you read the mindset, what other people have in mind? And he's so creative that when he comes, I didn't force him to go into normal education. Yeah? I left with my children to the Philippines. I stayed there for 27 years. He is so creative that if he sees a paper, which is just a white paper, he imagines something, it is there for him. You can take an engine, put it mentally in the corner, open it up and see how it works, and then build it. And it was not from books. He was small, he was already doing travels to, I don't know, he said, if I would materialize all the things I've seen, I wouldn't have the time to do it. But when he comes in an empty room and he sees the people who would live there, he sees already what he will design in this place. And it's there for him, and he just does it. And that's what I think was developed when he was with me since he was small. And he was able to develop that because I did not force him into the square education which is offered.
Yeah, but why force? Why force?
That children without special conditioning can imagine. Some children have more imagination than others. And even though he was brought up with other children that think conventionally, he has exceeded that environment, and he came up with imagination and thoughts different than the people of that environment.
If he was not happy,
she didn't put him into a regular school. She kept him with her.
And you see, when he was small in the day, he was first in Waldorf school, and even there, because his father's Moroccan, so they said, oh, he's a Turk, he's a Negro, and so forth. And then the day didn't go the way he wanted. So in the evening, he wouldn't sleep, and he would imagine, he would go back to stay and create the day they really wanted, and then he fell asleep content, because he knew now he created his day the way he wanted it.
And did I say the wrong thing when I said that he seemed to do things without special conditions?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And your question, how do you account for that?
Because it came from
nature, his own mind.
His own mind. He would travel.
He had imagination.
Yeah, he would travel as a small child. He said, Mama, I didn't sleep much because I traveled and I saw so many other things and so many places. And if I would want to materialize that, I don't know if my life would be enough.
But he was always very curious, wasn't he? A curious child.
But he wasn't, he was more, he was active, he was, but he was not so expressive when he was small. He was just like content in himself. But then he started to create, and what he does now, he does interior design, and he does things that people say, how could you think of that? Because they haven't seen it anywhere. Because he says, he didn't know that this is not a normal thing for people, that when they look at a white paper, what they think of is already there, and he just has to follow it with a pen. No? But he only found out later that people, not all the people have this kind of ability.
Okay, I'm going to try to answer that.
Pardon?
I'm going to try to answer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. I'm going to tell you first. You have to be trained to be an observer. You have to know what to look for. Most parents are subjective.
Weil du keine Papiertaschentücher benutzt.
They like to believe that their children are unique. They're going to want to believe that. If you had a 10-year-old son in the hospital called you and said, we gave you the wrong baby 10 years ago, would you give him up?
No.
People have attitudes about their own kids. And they think that their own kids reflect their personality. A lot of people do that. They say their kids, you're just like your father. Well, if your father says, oh, Gott in Himmel, you might say Gott in Himmel. If your father says, was willst du haben? You're going to say, what willst du haben? But if your father speaks Japanese, and you never saw him, you're not going to say anything. So something in the environment was different, but not being a qualified observer, the person doesn't know what it is. So you say, one of my kids is very creative, I don't know what it is. That's the honest thing. But if you say, he has something up here, that's a projection. Learning to say, I don't know, is the honest. Now, I'm going to try to tell you what makes a person different. If you have, how many children do you have? Three. What age difference?
Very big difference. My youngest daughter is 26, then I have a son is 38 and I'm 44.
If I have two children, one is 7 and one is 3, if I pay more attention to the 3-year-old, the 7-year-old's lip goes on. If I'm playing with the young one a lot, because I'm amused by the young child, I'm playing with him. That old one, when the young one falls down the stairs, he has a slight grin on his face, because he feels he's been treated unjust. So we don't even notice those things. We're subjective with our kids. If you give one kid a present, say you didn't do your homework, he did, and I give him a present, that produces jealousy. When you're out playing ball, he doesn't even want to play with you. So I said, he's mean and he's kind. People don't know every little thing that happens shapes behavior. And you have to look for what it is that does that. And most people, to be a qualified observer, I wanted to investigate metaphysics. You know what that means? Telepathy, telekinesis, moving objects without touching us. So I said to myself, how would you know if the guy wasn't so skilled he can surpass your curiosity? So I said, I better read up of how magicians make people disappear, how they make elephants appear, how they make glasses move without touching them. So I read every book I could get hold of on how magicians work. Then I set out to investigate. I was not qualified before that. You understand what I'm saying? Because a guy came to me and he said, open your own book, pick your own president. So I got my own book and opened it and picked James Fillmore, an early American president. I didn't even mention his name.
Yeah.
He said, call this guy in England and he'll tell you who you picked on your phone. I know you're in doubt. So I called this guy in England, Mr. Benson. He says, I see a man with puffs of hair on the side of his face, and his name is James Fillmore. That was very good, but here's how it's done. He has a friend in England. If you don't know how it's done, you say, I heard it with my own ears, I've seen it with my own eyes. That's not good enough. He has a friend in England named Mr. Wilson. If you ask for Mr. Fillmore, he's got a Fillmore means James Cagney.
Nee, also bei mir ist es eigentlich ziemlich voll. Ich habe jetzt halt die Leute schon so gesteckt bei mir. Aber ich habe... Ja. Nee, aber die kommen auch wieder zurück. Der Alex kommt wieder zurück. Also die... Nee, also der Alex kommt wieder zurück, auf jeden Fall mit der Freundin und so weiter. Also bei mir hängt noch was rum, aber der Martin hat ja noch Plätze hier. Das sind aber die Martin-Spengen in München.
Right away. She didn't even hear any words. Here's how that's done. There's a beer glass and each fork. It's in the middle of the table. If you don't know those things, they work by code, not necessarily language. If I say, have a nice holiday, it means the guy likes Clara Bow. If I say, don't wash clothes Sunday morning, it means the man is an aviator. You can work on a million codes that normal people do not understand. And they say, boy, that guy really called every name I thought of. Do you know what I mean by code? Okay. So you can do it. There are thousands of different ways of doing it. I brought a guy over from India, ran a needle through his whole face. Then he ran it through his skin. Then he made his pulse beat fast or slow. But he had a cork ball on the omnipresent that weakened his pulse. But if you don't know that, you said, I'm a doctor, and I varied his pulse. Doctors are dumb too. Before I checked that out, I read every book I could get on pulse variation.
They have to go and they want pictures, so eat up or let's